Let's get to know the Seven of Swords. This card is about your brain tricking you. Swords are tough. A lot of the time when swords come up in a spread, there it indicates usually some kind of mental stress. And the key to remember about that is that so much of the stress that we have in our lives is created by our own brains. We get really good at stealing from reality, right? So these are some other images of the Seven of Swords from different decks. This particular one is from the Modern Witch Tarot. And you see this character who's kind of walking away with some of the swords, and some of them are staying there. This is a little bit more of a classic image from the Rider-Waite deck. And this guy looks especially tricky to me, don't you think? And the original image that I showed you is from Yoshio Shitani's Tarot of the Divine. And we have this sort of trickster character who's hiding behind this boulder and has stolen these arrowheads or these swords. And you've got this kind of shadowy figure here as well. So yes, sometimes when this card comes up, there could be an indication that someone is trying to trick you, but it's probably you. It's probably your own brain. So really the question to ask yourself when this card comes up for you in your spread is, am I reacting to reality? Or am I reacting to things that I'm making up in my brain? One of the fundamental things about being a human being is that we can't predict the future. We just can't, even with tarot cards. We can sometimes get a sense of sort of energies and things that are happening, but we can't actually predict the future. We don't know what's going to happen, but our brains are really good at what's called cognitive distortions. And these are ways of being in our brains that are not super helpful for us. So fortune telling is one of them, thinking that we know what's going to happen in the future. Catastrophizing is another one where we think there might be a negative outcome and we think that's going to cause that negative outcome, and we kind of spiral into this like totally worst case scenario sort of situation. And then our nervous systems respond as if that's what's happening, which creates a lot of stress and anxiety that isn't necessary. So in Buddhism, there's this parable of the second arrow, or this story of the second arrow, which means that pain is inevitable. We're going to have experiences of illness. We're going to get older. We're going to have heartache. All kinds of difficult things are going to happen to us in our lives, which is the first arrow that comes in. But the second arrow is the one that we put in ourselves right into that same exact wound. And that's why we've got our sort of swords and arrows going on here, because we are the ones that put in that second arrow. We are the ones that make meaning of these difficult moments. And that meaning just isn't always useful. It's not always true. So if this card has come up for you, ask yourself, am I telling the truth? I hope that was helpful. I would love to know what you think about the Seven of Swords. Keep in mind that the most important interpretation for these cards is the one that you feel, or the one that you see when you're looking at the card. So my interpretation doesn't necessarily have to be the one. There's so many different ones, and the most important one is yours. What do you see when you look at the card? How do you feel when you experience it? So have a think about that and let me know what you think in the comments. What else do you see in this card? What comes up for you when you look at it?